This is a very juicy episode of the Maverick Makers podcast. I'm thrilled to welcome entertainment photographer George Pimentel to the show. George and I worked together years ago on my documentary film, Behind the Red Carpet. He was one of the leading and most exciting characters in the documentary, and I'm thrilled to welcome him to the show. For the past 25 years, George Pimentel, entertainment photographer, has documented celebrities in every capacity and context, from TIFF and Cannes to the Oscars, the Golden Globes, and the Met Gala. His body of work started in 1993 when George landed his first career break. With his Hasselblad camera in hand, he captured his first celebrity photo of Robert De Niro at the Toronto Film Festival. He recalls, "Ever since then, it has always been my passion. I never want to intrude in their business. I build trust and try to capture the stars in their own element." We have a candid, honest, and very exciting conversation. I know you will love this episode. Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the Maverick Makers podcast. I am so excited to welcome George Pimentel here. If you don't know him, here he is. If you don't know him, you've seriously been living under a rock. So he is one of the best, the greatest storytellers, photographers, just an amazing person. He is authentic, he is fun, full of energy, and I know you're going to love this conversation. So welcome, George.
Hello, everybody. This is, by the way, FYI,
FYI.
this is my first podcast
And
ever.
I'm so honored.
And I have been asked to do many, and for whatever reason, I just always decline. But for you, since we go way back, absolutely. You've been there. You've seen me in the trenches. You did a great documentary on me and some of us about the industry. Behind the red carpet.
Behind the red carpet.
Oh, I remember that. Those were the days when I was absolutely crazy. I'm crazy, but I'm just a little calmer now, getting older.
Is that what it is, getting older?
Yes. So 30 years.
Wow.
Since no, it's actually going on 31. Last year I did 30 years, and it was 1993 when I first took my first photo of a celebrity, and I knew nothing about the business. I was in Little Portugal helping my father in his little Portuguese little studio, photographing baptisms and communion photos. And I decided that my sister was in the film industry, and she said, Robert De Niro is going to be in town. And a lot of people have heard this story, but it's funny because it just went by so quickly. And do you want me to hear the story?
I want to hear the story. And you know what? I have notes and questions, but I'm throwing them out the window because it's you. So
everyone asked me, how did you get into this? So you have to understand, okay, I'm going to go fast forward 30 years. I just came back from France. I just was on, I signed an NDA. So I was there for a wedding, a very prestigious wedding, we'll call that. And they just wanted me to do behind the scenes. And it's weird because everything in my career has been going back full circle. And I started shooting weddings with my father in Little Portugal, in those tiny little homes, 12 bridesmaids dressed in red. And it trained me to do what I do now. And so I just got back from Nice and working with the number one bridal planner, but I can't mention their name. And it was, I just photographed it like I was photographing Toronto Film Festival. I just documented it, and it worked out really well. But going back to the De Niro days, I was terrible in school. So all you kids out there is life. I love the saying, stay in school, but I suffered, what's the HOHD, what
ADHD, ADHD.
AHD, all that. I suffered all that and I didn't even know it.
Mm,
I was thinking about something else. I didn't want to do calculus. I didn't want to, like, it wasn't me. And um, so, I had to work in my father's studio and help the family business. And my family thought I was just going to uh, just take over the family business and George will be fine. And I knew there was more to life than that. And I was stuck. Like if somebody, I talked to a woman the other day, her mother, they own the bakery down the street from my studio and they're all stuck because of the family business. Right. And I felt I was getting stuck. There was more to life than that, and I loved movies. And my sister was in the movie industry, and she always brought me to see movies. So a lot of people are like, I want to get into celebrity. I want to get into celebrity because I want to be famous and it's cool. I didn't get into celebrity because of anything. I got into it because I was maybe a fan. I was a fan, and I came across a photo, like an image that I shot of Robert De Niro in 1993. My sister said, "Oh, Rob, your favorite actor's in town," and I got all excited. I grabbed my old Hasselblad camera, which is this. This is a painting of it. So an artist painted this, but this is the camera that I used. It wasn't digital. I went down with a flash. I knew nothing about the business. I don't even think I've been past Bathurst Street. Went down to the Elgin Theater. There's a little, 5 photographers down there in front of the Elgin Theater, and I got close, and a security guard went, and he saw me with a camera, and he assumed that I was press photographer, but I had no credential. That's not how it worked back then. Maybe it did, I don't remember. But he said media has to stand here. So there I am with 5 photographers on the line. I'm like, oh my God, like from shooting comedians, I'm here, this is huge for me. And sure enough, De Niro came out. He was filming the movie A Bronx Tale.
amazing.
And he was the director, so he had to show up. And he looked like he just filmed Cape Fear. Like that was the look. Okay, the hair behind the hair. He was chiseled. It was De Niro, for me to this day, the greatest actor, male actor out there. My favorite anyway. Loved all the mafia movies, everything. And my heart started racing, and some flash bulbs went on. I was scrambling. It was kind of disorganized. There was no step and repeat. They just walked in, and he signed an autograph, and I yelled out Bobby because I knew that's what his friends called him. And he looked up and he gave me kind of a dirty look. He gave me the that's my impression, by the way. Like, you talking to me? I fired a pitcher. And he walked in, and I was like, oh, that was so cool. It was 5 seconds. It was literally like just 5 seconds to come up with something. And sure enough, moment of truth, photographers got escorted into the theater to shoot the intro, and I wasn't part of them. And I remember watching them walk down the corridor being escorted, and I said to my brain, "This is what I want to do." I said, "Those guys are so lucky. That is so cool." They, they get escorted into the room to take photo. I thought that was so cool. And sure enough, I'm packing up, and I look down the corridor, and they brought De Niro and Chaz Palminteri because out to do a group shot. I think it was Jane Rosenthal as well, the producer. And I actually asked Chaz, "Can you get out of the way?" He's the main star. He wrote it. And I said, I didn't know who he was. I said, "Excuse me, get out of the way." And I, do you know what came out? I took a photo, and I went back to my dark room, and I printed it sharp, and I realized that photo, I had just graduated from Ryerson. Sorry, what is it? MTU or something?
EMU,
What is it? TMU?
EMU, Toronto
I'll
Metro.
never get used to that.
Yeah, it's fine.
My diploma says Ryerson. I'm sorry, everybody.
It's all good.
Uh, um, and that moment was, I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. I just graduated from school, and for me, everything was about I was always doing projects. In school, we always were taught, encouraged us to do little projects, photo essays, portrait series, do little series on here. And I was always doing that. So I thought, this is interesting. That photo, everything that I learned in school, my style, everything, it came together in that particular photo. That photo, for me, has everything that I was inspired by, all the photographers from Diana Arbus, from Ouija. It was just like one shot, and that's what I realized, like throughout school, like who am I as an artist or a person? I was always about less is more. I said whatever I wanted to do in my career, I want to keep it less is more. I don't have time. I don't like waiting. I hate waiting. Fashion sets and all that stuff. Even when I do stills for movie sets, like I hate waiting. It's one of those things. So in the end, I got that photo and I started coming back, and that's how it started. The next day was Dennis Hopper, to Tony Collette. I remember Muriel's wedding, and I went with my Hasselblad and I hung out on the sidewalk, and I started photographing my way, and I printed it, and I kept doing a little series of little celebrities, and that's how it started. And TIFF, I didn't even know what TIFF was, and I'm just gonna go back 30 years later. Last year, I realized, oh, it's been 30 years since I photographed my first photo. And my wife said, you should post something. That would be nice. And I realized I posted the photo. And my agency, Shutterstock, said, De Niro is doing Tribeca. Would you like to like come down to Tribeca in New York? And maybe we could, give him the photo, you know. And so there I was. And I said, yes, absolutely. And so it was a big deal. And so the last day of the film festival, they were showing A Bronx Tale, 30 year later, and De Niro, Chaz Palminteri. I was so nervous. So I went down and I got a credential and I printed like a photo, like in platinum print. And I got there and I told the PR this day is very special to me, and they really got me. They got me. They really were. That was really cool, and I showed them the photo. But I didn't want to be like a gawker, right? Like a fan gawker. But my agency gave him the photo, and I said to him, I was the one, at that photo, and I was allowed to. I photographed him again.
Wow.
And I told Chaz, like, I was there at Toronto Film Festival when you first, and I showed him the photos, and I told him, by the way, I didn't know who you were, and I told you to get out of the way. I told him that. They had a good laugh. But that was really special to me. And then like I said, it went all up, downhill, uphill, whatever you call it. I started working my ass off, and I became like a stalker. I could honestly say that, because what I wanted to do was I just wanted to photograph them. Like, I loved glamour. I didn't want to do paparazzi. Everybody, like, I had to fight hard for 30 years to separate myself from that word paparazzi. And I never hid in the bushes. I was always just waiting by the fans when they signed an autograph. I just loved like night photography. I was always at night with a flash. Like I said, it was very Ouija, very Dan Arbus. It was, but it was simple, and I've used flash my whole career, like 30 years, and I know how to use it, right? And I didn't know what I had until I kept doing it, and then it started aging. And I look back at the photos now, that body of work, and I can't photograph like that anymore. Uh, it's different. I don't know. Like, now I'm digital and all this stuff, and I got into the business with photo agencies and selling my photos, and working with PR now, and it's a different time now. But for 30 years, I became this guy in Canada that, oh, George, he's the guy, and I just hung around. I got I just kept climbing the ladder. I kept like, trying to get access, and I don't think people realize that, I had a box of prints and I didn't know what to do with it. And I was still shooting weddings for my dad, and I wasn't making any money doing the celebrity stuff, but I just loved collecting it. And that's what it was about. I used to remember one time I went, there was a new director that like by the name of like Quentin Tarantino. And I just saw Reservoir Dogs, and I said, this guy's the shit. Like, this is wow. And then he came out with Pulp Fiction. I think that was like 90, I don't know what it was, 99 maybe? I don't know, something like that.
No.
And I saw this Pulp Fiction movie, and I don't care what anyone, I said, this is a movie. Like,
Oh,
this is a movie. And he came to Toronto. I'm like, I don't care if really nobody knows him. I need to photograph this guy because I admire, like, everything was about the photographs that I was shooting was if I didn't know who they were and never saw them in a movie, I didn't photograph them. I couldn't care. People were saying, like, that's don't you know who that is? I'm like, no, I've never seen them in anything. And I never photographed them. I didn't care. So everything was about like, oh, Sean Penn, Al Pacino, Jack Nicholson. And I would go over the world and back just to get that one photo. And I found a way. Um, and going back to Quentin Tarantino, like he came to Toronto Film Festival for something, and I found out he was at the Bistro 990, and another autograph collector informed me that, gave me a tip that he's in there. I said, okay, I'm going to wait, and he's probably going to come out the back, and that's
mm.
what I did. And I waited by the door. I stalked. I was a stalker, and as he came, I swear to God, this is 4 o'clock in the morning.
I love it.
Still out there, and I don't care. And there's fans to this day. I see them out there on the sidewalk, and I never bug them. I never say you're wasting your time. Go home. It was a lot of fun, just hanging out, talking, and then the anticipation that the door would swing open in an alleyway, and Quentin and his security guard. Oh, at that time he didn't have a security guard actually. He'd walk out, and I would say, Quentin, can I get a quick photo? And I'll never forget this. He goes, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. And you go to the Sutton place. And I always respected that. If they
Yeah.
said no, I never took the photo. I was one of those. Uh, and I never, if they said no, I'm not into it. I never chased them. I never got in a car. I never did any of that. But I knew a lot of people who did that stuff. And I waited. And here's the mind game is that here I am at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I look and now it's 4:30. Is he really going to come back? He's going to come back. Like knowing that I left and then I just missed him 2 minutes later, and then I don't know if I'll ever see him again. And I'm going to wait. And there I am, like honestly. And sure enough, about 20 minutes later, he came right back and he said, "What do you want me to do?" And he was walking towards me, and he kind of gave me a thumbs up or something. And I just told him to stop. And he's in the dark alleyway by himself, and bang. And that made a photo. That made a photo. And to this day, when I look at that, I say, "Pete, look at you. You got like Quentin Tarantino in this dirty alleyway. Like, this is so strange." And I the book, and I would always carry my photos. I'd always carry my photos in a box and in a camera bag. And so if I had nothing to do, I would show that was like my Instagram, right? I didn't have that. That was my portfolio. Like, you want to see what I've been doing? And people looked at the prints and they were beautiful. I printed them so beautifully, you know. It was my art. I did a rebate and it was just clean. And people always went, wow, wow, wow. And sometimes I would give the print back to the PR. I don't know if they ever gave it back to the talent, but I would like I'd always make an extra copy. And they always appreciated that. Now I became one of those. And I just kept doing it and doing it. And then, one time a friend of mine said, "Well, you need to show this work."
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Well, how did it change?" You keep shooting, and nobody sees it. Like you can be like a Vivian Meyer or whatever, like an unknown photographer. I never wanted to be an unknown photographer. I always said to myself, And my grandfather was an unknown photographer.
Yeah.
With his old camera in the village, like, nobody, like his glass plates, like nobody knows who he is. I never wanted to be that person. And I always said to myself, like, I want to be remembered kind of, like for my work. That's maybe it's my ego. I don't know. But I always said, like, I want to be remembered for my work. I remember, like, going through school and stuff, started thinking about that stuff. And then a friend of mine said, like, you need to show this work,
Hmm.
somebody. And that's the point, like in my life, like everything was about, getting to a level. Like it's a ladder. My life was a ladder. Every step was like a new journey. And so the first step was, here I am, no credential, no nothing, just working the streets, taking photos, and nobody sees them.
Hmm.
A friend of mine said, you should get these published. Like, how long am I going to do this for, just working in the streets? And it's been like going on like 3 4 years. I have never gotten published. Nobody knows who I am. I'm shooting weddings, fighting with my dad. I want to be a photographer out there. I don't know what to do. Like, I have to make a living, like the pressure of making a living. And, there I was. I said, well, someone said, you should take this, and I believe I took this, my portfolio to Flair magazine. I don't
Hmm.
know why. I didn't even know what Flair was, but I thought, I think my friend said, oh, Flair is the big fashion magazine. You should show it to them. And um, it was funny because I was so afraid of handing over my work to somebody. And I kept saying no, no, no. And eventually I got it there. And I think my friend had like his dad or something. His dad worked in the mail room or something. And uh the, his dad put my box on, I think, the desk of the editor. And then I went down. I never got a call back. And anxiety. I like, when are they going to return my call? And sure enough, I went down and I walked in like I was someone off the street. And I remember the receptionist there, press seventh floor in the building, and she said, "Hi, can I help you?" And I said, "Can I speak to Suzanne Boyd, please?" And and to this day, she's the editor chief of Zoomer magazine. And the woman said, "Do you have an appointment?" Hold on. This is how she did it. I have my glasses. It was one of these. Sir, you have an appointment? And I said, no. She goes, sir, it doesn't work like that. I swear to God. And I said, I'm just here to pick up my portfolio. And I don't want any trouble. And she's like, well, you're gonna have to make an appointment. And I started fighting with her. Here we go. I said, no, I'm not leaving until I get it. I don't have time. And all of a sudden, I think like an art director came out, or somebody came out and said, who are you? Like, what's going on here? I'm just here to pick up my portfolio. Because what's your name? I said, George Pimentel. I said, you're George Pimentel? We've been trying to find you.
Wow.
We've been trying to find you. We don't, we have this. You didn't put your phone number on the box or something. That's typical me. And I went in. I remember I went in to see Suzanne, and she said, hold on, you wait here. Suzanne will come see you." And then she said, who is it? Like, how come I don't know you? Like, when I walked in, she goes, how come I don't know you? I know everybody in this business. And like you are the mystery man. You're a mystery man. And I knew nothing. I was just staring at, like, I felt like I was talking to Anna Wintour, looking at all the photos on the wall, the fashion pictures. It was just all new to me. And she goes, how do you take the photos? Like, how do you find them? She liked that. She liked the fact that I knew where everyone was
Mhm.
before they got to the press conference. And I said, I stalk them. That's what I do. I find out through autograph collectors and drivers, and they give me tips. And I go, and I just said, we started talking. And one thing we connected on, I think, was glamour. I said, I love glamour. I love old Hollywood. I love those old Clark Gable photos. I love those old Marilyn Monroe photos, Elizabeth Taylor. If I could live in another world, I wish I could do photography in the 50s. I wish that would be my dream if they could take me back because I love that. I studied that in school. So that's what kind of I went for the black and white. I never thought about money once. That it was the difference. I never asked when am I going to get paid? How can I get paid? I just did it. And I spent many hours, like out there waiting just to get that one shot. And that's pretty much been my career. And I got discovered, and then they start giving me assignments, and I'm making like a little bit of money, and I'm balancing it between my dad's thing and I'm doing editorial. And then it got to a point that they started giving me assignments, and I was too busy shooting a wedding, and I
Mm,
was like, this is killing me. Like, Madonna is in town, and
wow.
I can't shoot it because I have to shoot a wedding. And I started going through that, and then I just slowly departed, and that's how it all started.
Amazing. Let's talk about that quote you have on your website from your dad, which is do a good job and then they'll always call you back.
Oh, I live by that. If there's any interns or uh, I'll tell you something. It is not easy. Yeah, to this day, it's a sacrifice. Work is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
I sometimes do what do what it takes just to make the client happy, and it's not that hard. And it starts from the beginning. It starts from showing up on time. It starts from representing the company or whatever the corporation that you're working with. And it's my name. It's also my reputation. I don't want to ever have anybody talk bad about, oh, this, he's a flake or he's a hack. He's like, he didn't deliver his, you have to deliver. And I've lived by that, and that's all I have in my life, and it works. It works, but it comes from all the little things in life about trust. Um, Trust goes a long way with a relationship with clients. You know, if even if a client comes back to me and gives me bad business or they don't communicate something, for me it's like, you're full of shit now. You
Mm,
know, like you lost the trust. I don't want to deal with people that are full of shit.
mhm.
And I don't want somebody to look at me, say, this guy's full of it, right? So work ethic is always about just do your job. Don't be a hero. Just do your job. Look at the shot list. Do as you're told. That's it. Deliver on time. I don't think people understand that I have lost many hours of sleep editing. And I go back and I edit and I make sure it gets done. And because I'm just, I did an event the other night. I did the Legacy Awards. Ask them. Like 4 o'clock in the morning, people are getting links.
Well,
And they're like, don't you sleep? And sometimes I don't, but I got to get it done. I'll sleep in, but I got to get it done. And I'm very obsessed with that, about my work ethic. And that's half the battle.
amazing. Besides that one shot that we call it the beginning of your career, that Robert De Niro moment, what do you think your proudest Maverick moment would be?
There's so many.
Hmm.
There's so many. I mean, I always, when I look at the photos, I never look at the photo itself. For me, maybe I'm being biased, but I'm always looking at the story behind the photo, like the process. Sometimes a favorite or an epic photo is like, it's like the journey. How did I get to that photo? You
Yeah.
know, it could be a mediocre photo, but for me, I'm like, I love this photo because, and an example, I'll give you an example. Um, Jack Nicholson. Like
Hmm.
I felt like in the 90s, I was like, I got everybody. I got Warren Beatty. I got, I even have a Polanski. I have them. I need Jack Nicholson. He doesn't go out, but he goes to the Laker games. How am I going to go to a Laker game and photograph, Jack Nicholson? And this is a story. So at that time, I became part of Wire Image as a photo agency, and I started making a little bit of money. selling my photos online with digital.
Yeah.
So the photography went digital, and so all of a sudden it changed everything. And then, but I still wanted to go back to my black and white. The digital wasn't there yet. The quality, the pixels. We're shooting only 3 megapixel cameras compared to film. I'm like, oh, this is a tough transition for me. But I kept saying, well, who do I need in my portfolio? And it was Jack Nicholson. And so a friend of mine, uh, he was covering the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh my God, I wish I can go there." And at this time, I never really went to big events. I would go to the Oscars, but I would hang out during Oscar week and read the newspaper where all the Oscar parties, and I would hang out by the fans, and I would come back with a body of work, And so that was I was always doing that. And so when my friend Jeff Vespa said, I have a gig in Cannes, but you're not shooting any celebrities. And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, well, in the back of my mind, I was like, wait a second, Jack Nicholson's going to be at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
So if I just get to Cannes, I'm in the same city as Jack Nicholson and I can get close. I'll get there. I'll find a way to find out what car he's driving and I'll park myself. I'll find a way. And sure enough, um, but I had to go there because my friend said, there's a student film festival outside of Cannes. We need a photographer. It's a gig. Would you do it? And I said, yes. Okay. And they flew me down and I didn't even get paid. I didn't care, but they flew me down. I'm in France. And I remember like we were all staying in the same apartment and I would come back and every day my heart sank because I would see the other photographers editing the red carpet and see like Leonardo DiCaprio and Cameron Diaz. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys are so lucky. It's killing me that I can't be there. So I sacrificed. That was a sacrifice. And then I went back to Jeff and I said, aren't you shooting the About Schmidt party, which is starring Jack Nicholson? I said, dude, come on, throw me a bone, man. I've been working my ass off. Like, come on. And he said, no problem. You got it. You got it. I'll get you in. I'll tell Lionsgate, you'll be my second photographer. And that's it. And I said, I'm going to be at a party with Jack Nicholson, get my Hasselblad ready, the whole thing. I brought my other camera. We waited. Me and Jack shot the party, and we're at the Carlton Hotel on the pier. It's 5 o'clock. It's dusk. The light in France at 5 o'clock is choice. And sure enough, the guests, all in their black tie tuxedos, all walking in for the pre-party. And there he is. I see Jack Nicholson come down with a couple of people, old guys, and everybody they all kind of gravitated towards him. And I'm waiting for my moment. And I see he says, Jordy, I'm gonna go for a smoke. And he went out to a private area, like out on the pier, and he went for a smoke. He's with his glasses and he's talking to somebody. I remember he said, hey, Jordy, how the fuck are you? Like it was like Jack Nicholson. Like, it was like he was so cool. And I just approached him. And he was just having a smoke. And I went up, didn't even ask him anything, and I took a picture. And it was a profile picture with the sky in the back and nobody knows what he was doing. If somebody could be talking to somebody, but it didn't matter. I captured him, and I basically said, "I'm done. I'm done." And on the way out, I remember seeing Sandra Oh, because Sandra Oh was, uh, I think, married or dating Alexander Payne, the director. And I see Sandra Oh from Toronto, and she's me in Cannes, and I was like, to this day, I say, remember those photos? Remember that time we were at the About Schmidt? And so I got Jack and I told Jeff, I said, I'm done. I'm out. He said, what do you mean? I need you to shoot all this. I said, no, no, no. I can't. This is too overwhelming for me. And he started laughing. And I went out, you know, and I called my dad. I remember calling my dad from France. I remember I went to a bench and I sat down. So I just got Jack. I just got Jack. And I needed that. And it was like collecting hockey cards. That's all it was. And so that for me, like when I look at that photo and I look at that, like how I waited 10 years to get that photo. I kept missing him all the time when I was in LA. He'd always sneak out the back. I was like, oh, I'm missing this guy. And I don't know when am I ever going to see. I got to get Jack. So that's kind of like, one of those.
I love it. That's amazing. You are unrelenting. It's beautiful. You are. It's amazing. Who's your most favorite celebrity besides Jack and De Niro, who you've captured?
I go back, like, I just finished Toronto Film Festival. So everything is like I can't think that far back. So I kind of think of what did I do last week?
For sure.
And right now, like I'm all giddy because of J-Lo.
Fair.
I'm really like, okay, I guess I could share the story. Last week, J-Lo was in town for her film. She was here, I think, in 2019 for Hustlers, The Hustler. I don't know what it's called.
Good.
Uh, Yellow Dress Film Festival. The moment 2019, Epic, J-Lo comes out. I cleared the whole entire carpet single-handedly, no security. I go to her glam team. This is 2019. Photographed her, clean carpet. That photo went everywhere.
Yeah.
I at that time I was with Getty Images, and uh I could remotely send that photo to an editor, goes up online. She saw it immediately in the green room, like J-Lo, what she does, she looks at her photos right away, like right on, because it's instant, right? It goes live on Get.
J-Lo.
She looks at her photos right away. So this year comes around, and I want to do the same thing. I show up to the premiere. It is mayhem. It's like the whole red carpet is crowded with executives and everybody. I was like, ah, shit, there's no way I'm going to be able to get the same shot and clear the carpet. So what do? I'm like, I'm going to try. And I start going around half hour before she's going to go, hey guys, like, I'm trying to get J-Lo here. Will you guys like move? They're not moving. Nobody's moving. Nobody gives a shit. I'm like, ah, geez, whatever. It is what it is. And then I asked another guy, and I showed him the photo of her in the yellow dress. I said, this is what I want to do. And he goes, oh, talk to Laura. This is just, I don't know who Laura is. I go over to Laura. I said, Laura, hey. And she goes, hey. And she kind of recognized me. I said, I would love to do this. And she goes, yeah, we can do that. And that's all it was. Hollywood.
Wow.
Snap of the finger. She whispers to somebody. She starts pointing her finger. She says, where do you want her? And I said, let's just put her over here. I spot there. I had two other photographers on the carpet telling me, like, no, let's not shoot here. Let's shoot her this way. And I'm like, F off right now. Leave me alone. Let me do my thing. They're going to get the same shot, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get this. So sure enough, 2 minutes away, we slowly start cleaning. It's not 100%. And that she gets out of the car, fans start going crazy. I go right to her glam team. This is key. I deal with the glam team.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, we're doing this type of photo over there. And they're like, we're on it. We got this, they're with their brushes, their hair. We're on it. So they kind of set the tone of J-Lo, of how she's going to be positioned. So I always go to the glam team. I never go to the PR, go to the glam team. I go to the glam team. So sure enough, they whisper in her ear, and she's like, okay. They bring her over, and there's a security guard just sticking his head, is like, he's just a sore thumb, and it's driving me crazy. And I'm like screaming at him, like, get out of the way. And he did. He did. And there I have her, clean. There I am, J-Lo. Bang, 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 bang. I got her. The other guys are shooting over my shoulder. I don't care. And what I do, normally, I'm dealing with the glam team. And so at that moment, I stop. Like, the photographer needs to stop. Wait, I need to check if this is still okay. And it's a good move. It's a good move because they look at you like, this guy knows what he's doing. And that's what it's all about, right? And so in the end, I go to the glam team. I'm like, do we want the side? The side? And they're like, yeah, we got to do the side. And then and I'm like, let's do the other side. And then I'm the one saying, I'm good. That's it. I go like this. Thank you. That's my sign language. I don't have anybody tapping me the shoulder going ever in my career. I will never have somebody tap me in the shoulder saying, you got enough, ever. I'm
Mm.
the one who says, thank you. I got it. You're in control. You're totally in control. You know what you want. You got it. Don't be over eager. Don't shoot the same photo twice. Just you got it and move on. Be secure, move on. And that's what I did. I said, I got it. We're good. And she was like, thank you. And this is where it gets funny. So as we're walking, she just, having issues, obviously. I think divorced Ben, like going through all that drama. She's not going to do interviews. So we all like just started following her because I have access to the green room and I'm beside her. And she kind of like, I kind of whispered in her ear, oh, by the way, I'm going to Photoshop the shit out of that photo.
Oh my God.
And she broke out laughing, and it went viral. It went viral. Like you see me like say something to her, and she's like, J Lo laughs at the photographer, and you can see comments. What did the photographer say? What did the photographer say? And I never responded. But if anybody's watching, that's what I said. I said, I'm going to Photoshop the shit out of that photo. Right. And she broke out laughing. Right. And so then there I am going down. This is mind boggling. I'm going down and following the entourage. You got to go down the stairs through the hallway, and everybody, like every bottleneck, goes into the green room. And the green room's for sponsors and gawkers and all that stuff. And it is like mayhem in there because it's J Lo, and I look like a star because I'm like walking in with J Lo. And all my Rogers people that I see in there, like George, and I'm like, hey, I give them a wink, yeah, and then so there I am. They sit J Lo down, and she's looking at her phone, and I'm having a Pepsi at the bar. Okay, it's having a Pepsi, and I don't need to like bother her. But if Cameron Bailey comes in, like there might be an opportunity to shoot the president of TIFF with J Lo. That's all I'm there for.
Mhm.
Maybe if they need a photographer, someone they do a group shot. That's pretty much it. But I don't bother them. It's their space, and I could see her on her phone, and she's looking at the photos online already. And she's going, I don't like these. I don't
Oh,
like these. I don't like these. True story. And I'm just looking at her and I hear her say, where's that guy? Where's that guy? And that was me. And I'm like just having a Pepsi and I'm looking at her. And all of a sudden our eyes lock and she points to me, you come here. And the PR and her team, like, she wants to see the photos. She wants to see the photos. I said, oh, okay. So I sit down and I'm like sweating. And I'm gonna sit beside like J Lo, and I'm like, oh, my nightmare. I sit beside her, and I'm like, like you can, So she's looking at my photos, and she waves her team over. Can you look at these? And they look, and they're like, gorgeous. Oh my god! And that's how it started. And in the end, it was, you know, I'm like, they're like, they said, can we have a couple of these to post on our social media? I said, sure. And sure enough, like went back, sent them like a link of 20 pictures. They all of a sudden I'm in touch. I got their numbers, and that's how it worked. And then the makeup artist was like, these are great. And the best line was, they actually said, can we send these photos to our photoshopping department? I said, JLo has a department? Of course she does. That's so cool. She has a department, And in the end, they didn't even touch the photos.
mm.
And she posted a couple of photos of my photos on her Insta, and she tagged me. What a nice woman.
Wow.
And I didn't like that's when you're getting older, when you really don't know what that means. Well, I do know what it means, but I don't really care. And I have people stopping me on the street saying congratulations. I'm like, for what? Oh, JLo tagged you. So it's just like that is really like 30 years later where we're at right now. Like before it used to be like, did I get a photo credit, on an editorial page, Sometimes they forget, photo George Pimentel is a big deal. But now, like the photo credit on a celebrity's Instagram is a big deal. And it's powerful because I support it 100%. And I hate to say it, it's sad that editorial is declining. People aren't reading magazines anymore. And Instagram is obviously taken over the world. And when I look at, I think she has like over 300 million followers, more. I don't know what she has, but the point is, like, let's say it's whatever, 300 million or 500 million, whatever it is. That's 500 million eyeballs, like showcasing TIFF. Not about me, but it's about like TIFF. And that's a win for me. And that's what it's about, getting exposure. And that's the new world we're living in. And so right now, people ask me, what am I doing? I'm working with talent. And that's my whole life has changed. I don't want to scream at celebrities anymore. I did that. I don't want to go to Cannes. I don't want to have somebody blow smoke in my face. I don't want to be like, I used to see like the Met Gala screaming for 3 hours. No, I want to work with the talent now and be that trusted photographer. If not, I go golfing. But but from being the photographer of the Brian Mulrooney's funeral
Wow, that's amazing.
last year, and then going to this prominent wedding in France, working with Justin Bieber's mother, calling me out of the blue, saying, I like your work. Let's do some work. That's the stuff I want to do. Me roaming at the SAG Awards, roaming the Oscars, red carpet, doing my work. That's what I want to do. If not, I'm good.
Wow. I think I've said like wow a million times because I could talk to you all day long and listen to your stories because they're amazing. Are you ready for the lightning round? So we basically at the end of the show do some quick fire answers, questions, and see how you do.
I'm scared.
You're scared. I think you'll be fine. All right. Ocean or lake?
Ocean or lake? Ocean. I was just in an ocean like last week. Bathwater. I was in Miami Beach, of course. Ocean.
Exactly. Inspiration or impact?
Inspiration always.
Day or night?
Night.
I knew that one. Alleyways, 4 a.m., easy peasy. Favorite thing to do on your downtime? I think I know this answer too.
Uh, on my downtime, there's a lot of things. I like to golf and I like to spend time obviously with my children.
Beautiful. That's great. If there was one last shot you could take, who would it be of?
Marlon Brando.
Mm, that just
If
gave
I
me
could just
shivers.
pull him out of the grave
Yeah.
and take that photo of Marlon Brando.
Wow.
So I have all the guys from The Godfather.
I was gonna say definitely collectors, and you're definitely a big mob fan, so I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is playing you in the film about your life?
Mark Ruffalo.
Really interesting.
People
Okay.
say they look like him, kind of. Maybe Chaz Palminteri. There you go.
I like that
Let's go.
better.
Let's go
I
full
like that
circle.
better. I like that
Yeah.
better. What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Life.
Okay.
Deadlines.
Deadlines. Okay, fair. How do you want to be remembered?
This is a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. Very nice guy. How do you want to change the world?
More kindness.
Mm,
I want to change. You know how I really want to change the world? I want everybody really to get along. I
the
want
beauty.
all people to be human beings. Doesn't matter color, race, anything. Blood is red. Blood is red. Yeah, that's what I want.
Beautiful. I agree. Last question. What's next?
I can't remember what I'm doing tomorrow. That's not a fair question. You know what I'm looking forward to?
Okay.
In January, I have the Sundance Film Festival
Mm,
that I've been covering for 25 years. I get to go back to Eccles Theater and photograph celebrities in their seats and just a real normal film festival that has its own unique brand. It's just yeah, I'm looking forward to the Sundance for sure.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for spending the time to talk to us about your amazing career, your journey, all these celebrities, these moments. It's fantastic. I just loved our conversation. And like I said, I probably said wow a million times because I'm just in awe. George, you're amazing. Thank you.
Oh, like I said, J-Lo, we're done.
Tapping out. Thank
All
you.
right. Peace.
The Maverick Makers podcast is sponsored by Maverick Makers Content Creation Collective. We fuel your content pipeline through video, photography, design, and editorial. Let's connect to your audiences and make more sales. Learn more at maverickmakersco.com.